Okay, so I'm going to go into my journey as a medical coder and kind of just what I went through, the struggles that I went through that kind of got me to where I am today. And I think it's important for you all to know that aspect of my life so that you can I'm doing this in an effort to delete the skepticism around the 3-day course. If you're having doubts and feeling like, how can I learn anything or if anything at all in 3 days? So sorry that my mind's wandering a little bit there. So I want to cover that. So I was working for many, many years over at the vocational college. I mean, I worked at every college you could possibly think of. So no need to name names, but I mean, you name it, I worked there. And the reason I jumped around like that from college to college, and I'm just going to be brutally honest, this is going to be a bit of a tough conversation, tough subject probably to people, and sometimes I do expect to get some heat from this and some negative maybe perspectives, but either way it goes, I'm willing to take the risk because I'm not the type of person that sits back and doesn't fight or stand up for what they believe in. So I'm the exact opposite, and I don't really, I kind of, I was told many times in my life, that I just wasn't a good fit. And I worked for many companies, as I stated, and it wasn't just the college venues. It was every other company I worked at before. But I've always had a problem, in all honesty, with fitting in, always. So, in particular, I want to talk about the college settings. And so, what would happen is I would work and start teaching the curriculum as it was laid out for me, and I would know in very short order. I would figure out, this is a whole bunch of fluff. That's all there is to it. It's a bunch of things that what does it matter? Who cares? It's never gonna matter, and no one's ever gonna care. And I knew that. I knew that because I had already been out there. I had already been in the trenches. I knew what was important and what wasn't. And it was just a lot of things that were being asked of the teachers to teach, and didn't leave a whole lot of room for teaching in it. So, and that's another conversation I'll have. But the moral of the story is I would go the extra step, the extra mile to make sure that my students received information, knowledge, above and beyond, way above and beyond what was on the curriculum. So I knew that you cannot, your degree that you're going to get, your diploma that you're going to get here at the end of your program isn't going to hold water in the industry. It is not going to cut the mustard. In other words, you were going to go to drop $15,000 at the end, graduate, and then go right back to flipping burgers, or right back to, installing cable, or running plumbing, and it just wasn't going to hold water. So in this day and age, you've got to be certified. You've got to be credentialed. If you want to hold a medical chart in your hand or have the username and password to give you the capacity to do so, the authorization to do so, you've got to be certified. And I knew that. And everybody knew that, but everybody tried to not talk about it and deny it. And what I mean by everybody is I meant like upper management, the people that ran the college's operations. And so what happened is I'd get into a lot of trouble because I would teach above and beyond what was on the curriculum, because I wanted my students to pass the board exam before they graduate, before they walk the graduation stage. I wanted them to be CPC certified through AAPC or CCSP certified through AHEMA. And I got talked to, and in all honesty, I was always in the hot seat. I was always in trouble. I was always getting written up, and it was pretty devastating because I thought, instead of being talked to by my managers that, hey, Delissa, you've obviously got a certain level of knowledge. Why don't you maybe get the other teachers on your on the same level of knowledge, and that way all of you can be really making a difference here at this college. I never really got um, I never had that conversation with anybody. Instead, I got the latter, which was, you're teaching way above curriculum, what curriculum states. This is an entry-level college. Just don't tell them, Delissa, don't tell them that they have to have a CPC. Don't let a HEMA or AAPC come up in your conversation with them at all. And it was a terrible thing, because you make a connection with your students, and you promise them the sun and the moon that they're going to be certified, but then conversations like that would happen, and I wouldn't get to finish teaching my students, because you see the writing on the wall, and it won't be long before I get my walk-in papers, because I keep breaking all the rules. And it's called sticking your neck out on the line for folks. And I always did that for my students, and I always will, always. I don't care who is watching this video or what kind of heat I'm going to get. It doesn't matter who you are, what organization you are. I will always stick my neck out on the line for my students and their education. So I want to be real clear about that before I move on. But I always, I had to quit. I had to leave that college, and it forced me to have to look for a job, an educating job at another college. And so I would do what I did, and I would teach to maximum level of capacity, my capacity, until I got in trouble, until I got written up, and then I would go to the next college and the next college, and that's how it went for me. And one day I thought, enough is enough, and I never forget it. My program director told me, basically to take down my certificates from my wall, and I love to have my certificates on my wall before my classroom so that I could inspire my students. And they asked me to remove them, and that was pretty much the nail on the coffin. And I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that happened in terms of me reaching my maximum. This is where I draw the line. This is where it ends. I'm not willing anymore. And so I went out on my own and pursued Medical Coding Academy, creating go-to coders, which I'll talk about on another video. But going back, I got a little bit off on a tangent. Going back to my original point, I told my students, there was this one college that I had, I want to say 19 students, maybe a one or less, give or take, and I had to leave them, and on my last day, of course, there were tears. I'd given a 2-week notice, and I told them, class, I'm sorry, I've got to go rest my soul and gain back some weight, and I've been really stressed out and trying to hide my materials and not let the DOEs or the principals find out what I was teaching, and extremely stressful. And so I left them in the middle of a term, and as I was driving away, the DOE called and said, come back to the college. And I said, Mr. So-and-so, I said, you already made it very clear to me that I'm not a good fit. In fact, those were your exact words. I said, so, why are you calling? And he said, well, because your students are outside. And I said, well, what do you mean they're outside? And he's like, well, they're not coming back into the building. So I went back, I made a U-turn, and I went and pulled up next to them, and I said, what are you? And they said, well, we're not going in unless you come back. And I said to them, and I got mad at that time, and I said, get back in that classroom, and you're almost done. You're 2 modules away from graduating. Get back in there, and you get that diploma. And they said, but we're not going to get certified. We didn't finish learning. And I said, well, I tell you what, if you're that serious, which apparently you are, because you're out here, I will, I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm going to be bored at home. I'm not going to be working until I feel like I've recovered enough. So why don't you just come and see me on Saturdays at my house? Here's my home address, and just drive over on Saturdays. And I thought, they ain't going to do that. They're not going to come. They're single mothers. They're working mothers. They've got children. They've got spouses to attend to. They're going to school Monday through Friday. How are they going to also devote another Saturday to me? And so I didn't bother telling my husband, that, hey, 19 people might show up on Saturday. I just didn't bother. And all of a sudden, my husband was telling me, why are there all kinds of cars parking outside? And so they had really done it. They had shown up to my house, and And it's something surreal, something that I can't ever put, I'll never be able to put a price on in terms of their believability in my, in me as their instructor, as their guide to help them along. And so I mean, I began to run all over my house and move furniture and make accommodations. And I'll never forget it. I was teaching between the living room and the kitchen area, and I would walk between the two big rooms that were separated, so that making sure that everyone could hear me in my lectures. And I was teaching, and I taught with all of my soul. At the top of my lungs, I was teaching those coding guidelines, and it was the end of the year, and I had to hurry, and I wanted them to sit for the exam before Christmas, and so we hurried up, and I want to say I taught them for about 6 Saturdays, consecutive Saturdays, and with a few conference calls in between, and then the day came where it was phone call after phone call, email, voicemail, text message, that Miss Ortega, I just fell off my chair. I just passed the exam, and it was an incredible thing. It's something that I can't put a price on. Well, what I didn't tell you was when I was resting during that time and healing. There was another college that had knocked on my door that needed me, and I told them I couldn't at this time. And then they said, but please, Mr. Ortega, we have 3 young ladies. There are only 3 girls at night. It's a night. We're trying to phase out medical coding program and move it into something different, and transition into something different. And so we just need you to finish out their education. They only have 2 more months. And I mean, I said, and she wouldn't give up. She wouldn't take no for an answer. And then I felt bad for 3 young ladies, and I said, I'll tell you what, I'll go and I'm going to stick to the curriculum. I am not going to tell them about no AAPC and AHEMA. I am not going to, risk my health yet again. And, otherwise I'm defeating the whole purpose of why I left my other students. And so, and I didn't. I prayed on the way to work at this college on that evening. I only had to teach, I want to say 2 or maybe 3 nights a week, and I got there, I walked into the classroom, I introduced myself, and I asked the young ladies, the students, and I said, I kind of, as a teacher, you have to feel, test the waters. Where are we at in terms of education? That way I can pick up where, the previous teacher left off. And so I asked them, I want to say something as simple as let's go ahead and open up our medical coding guidelines to section 1.A. Dot 14, and they all looked at me like, what kind of Greek language did you just speak to us? And then it dawned on me, and I said, okay, let's see, that didn't work. So how about, okay, let's all open up our ICD-9 at that time, was ICD-9 manuals, and I saw them, and they had 3 books in front of them, and they were nervous, and they didn't know which book to reach for. They didn't know the difference. Here they were, 8 months into their program, 2 months away from graduating, and they didn't have an idea as to what book to open. And so, of course, I said, you know what, let's go ahead and talk about the AAPC and the HEMA. Oh my gosh. And so that was it. And so behind the back of the program, so, okay, sorry, I jumped a little bit ahead. I told them about this certification exam, and they had no idea. They'd never heard of it. And I said, listen, I'm not going to have the time to teach you here under the roof of this college, because I've got to teach the rest of the curriculum that they've handed me. So there will be no time for me to prepare you for the exams. And I mean, they were upset. They were irate that where has all this education been this entire 8 months? And I finally told them, shh. Are you going to spend the rest of the time here with me griping about what you haven't to this moment received? Or are you going to take this information and move forward. Just work from this day forward, because you can go downstairs and complain to the director, the program director in the DOE, that you've not received this kind of information all year long, and then lose me because they're going to let me go. Or you can choose to quiet down and take me up on my offer. And my offer was to come and meet the other 19 students that I was already educating on Saturdays from the home. And they chose to do that. So, okay, so that was the mistake. It was 16 students from the prior college, and then I gained 3 more from the second college, so it was 19 total. So it was these 19 students many years ago that clarified to me that many years ago that you don't have to go to a college and have and waste all that amount of time and waste all that amount of money if you have yourself a really good teacher, a teacher that truly cares, that truly knows what they're doing, that truly respects what they do for a living, and you don't have to do all that. And that's just the point of this entire video is if there were someone out there, people that are watching me right now, if there were someone out there, a teacher that was equal to me or better than me, I would send you to that teacher who is now working or teaching at an 8-month, 10-month, 12-month college. I would send you there in a heartbeat. But I don't know anyone that teaches to my level or better than me right now in my life. If I did, you'd get a different answer from me. But I don't know, and I don't trust. I've seen what's out there, and I don't trust them. I don't trust them with your careers, your futures. I don't. So thank you for watching. I wanted to get that off of my chest and out on the internet, because I think it's important for people, for teachers to stand up and really believe in what they know to be true. Because a lot of teachers they know all this, they know it, and they know it, and they know it, and they choose to hush so that they can retain their students, retention, and I'm not making fun of teachers in that way, because teachers need a job, they need to feed their families, but I want to break the silence at whatever cost, at least for what I can control. I can't control others, but for what I can control, I'm not willing to go to bed anymore at night and keep the peace at the cost of you anymore. Keep the peace between myself and my colleagues and my managers above and before me. I'm no longer willing to keep the peace in order or at your expense. That's not me. It's never been me. I struggled with it for some time, but I've woken up and I've seen the light. Praise God. And what you see is what you get, and I could go on. So thanks for watching.